Hi there, folks. Welcome back to Rich Review. So, my latest documentary on this channel happens to be now The Real Charlie Chaplin. This has premiered at several film festivals over the course of the year. This premiered on Showtime late last week, and I'm finally getting it to you guys here now because I found myself thinking, do I want to review this? Do I think I could get views for it? And I thought to myself, yes, I could possibly get views for this, get minutes and whatnot, and hope to have a conversation because I would love to speak to you guys about this film. And originally, the original title was going to be Chasing Chaplin because, let's face it, when it comes to a cinematic genius, it's very hard to get inside the working head of a visionary as like Chaplin, or heck, even, say Orson Welles, or even recent luminary geniuses like Andy Kaufman, or not that I would ever want to get into the brain of the guy who created The Room. There is some chaos in all of us. Sometimes that chaos can lead to great visions and leave work behind that will last a particular lifetime. Now, what this documentary has is no talking heads, and I happen to like that sometimes because when talking heads appear on screen, it's just sort of like, yeah, they give the same set of interviews that they've given millions of times before. And this is narrated by Pearl Mackie, who I guess was on Doctor Who. I never saw her on Doctor Who, so I couldn't tell you what she looked like. The interviews here are from people that knew Chaplin from long ago, particularly one very elderly lady who knew Chaplin in childhood. And apparently sometimes there's recreated interview segments here with people, with the interviewees mouthing, and then obviously the thing appearing. And the old lady interviewing here basically is like, yeah, our childhood was, look, it was a slummy childhood and he had to make money one particular way or another. His mother was a stage performer. His father just ran out early on. And obviously you have to make money one way or the other, otherwise you'll starve or go, as like his mother, to basically a sane asylum. Is that, oh yeah, lawyers would obviously like to know where the Charlie Chaplin Little Tramp thing came from, and well, because obviously there was a lawsuit at one point, and basically, this one guy said, oh yeah, I'm borrowing from you, but quite frankly, some other people would say he's borrowing from us. In reality, the Little Tramp character is more or less an amalgamation of other people who hopped around the railroads over the course of since the railroads got started. Some very interesting behind the scenes footage of him shooting City Lights and having that one flower scene where the girl mistakes him for a millionaire, and how you could easily film an entire film about that. Fired the actress, then brought her back because they couldn't find someone else. And as we all basically conceive of, can a director these days get away with just 200 takes of one particular scene? No, you couldn't, because otherwise you'd be fired and you'd be in a Hollywood jail for the rest of your life, and you'd be lucky if you direct some television episodes in any time in the near future. First started out doing film. His first time around going with it, he basically says, oh yeah, I thought I was going to get fired because obviously the reception was not great. I put on some clothes and created the Tramp character, and obviously Max Sennett, who first helped him get started in Hollywood, he's interviewed. Obviously he's dead, but one of the wives, Lita Gray, wife number 2, is interviewed here in the 60s, giving, My Life with Chaplin, an interview later on in the early 90s before her death, but after the Chaplin film had been released. Was Chaplin a pervert? I don't know, but again, he obviously apparently one of his wives said he liked virgins. And in his biography, all he does is devote a couple of sentences. And obviously at the end we see footage of him, in exile, because obviously Hoover had a row with him over his political leanings. And yes, granted, most people in Hollywood these days are somewhat center left, and hey, look, that's fine. I know these days people are like, why can't conservatives get their say in Hollywood? Well, back in the day, it was the left who couldn't get their say in Hollywood. We get that footage of him in Switzerland, and some of the kids or interviewed, or basically saying, well, I never knew Charlie Chaplin the actor, I knew Charlie Chaplin the father, and he was somewhat suffocating. I had to get away from him. Geraldine's obviously, her voice is being interviewed here. And you can't cover a man's life in 2 hours. I mean, the Richard Attenborough documentary tried, and less said about the film The Barrel, though. I think Robert Downey Jr.'s performance is fine. I wouldn't call it great. Really have to do a massive mini-series just to cover Charlie Chaplin's life. And given the fact that I actually, one year at the Virginia Film Festival, they were playing a whole bunch of Charlie Chaplin shorts that have been restored. And it was nice to see the man at work doing his craft, because lately it just seems all CGI, and basically when pratfalls were actually pratfalls and you could easily get hurt, but quite frankly he choreographed it enough. So in the end, folks, what I'm going to say about the real Charlie Chaplin, I amazingly will give this a leave work early. It's on Showtime, and if you plays to any of your film festivals, please seek it out, because I think it'll be worth checking out. So folks, the real Charlie Chaplin, have you seen this? What did you think? Please put everything in the comment box below here, folks. As always, folks, like, comment, subscribe, and enrich yourself with knowledge. I'm at Michael Rich at Rich2 on Twitter. I'll see you next time, folks. Yes, hooray.